The loss to Ole Miss is one of those moments that stands out in your career, and I'm sure Urban in your timeline as well. So you fall to Ole Miss by 1 point. At what point did you know your now famous "I promise" speech was going to happen? Was that off the cuff, walking in, just like almost off the cuff, making your college decision, or is that something that you had in your brain working prior to that moment?
Well, I'll tell you, Rob, I was so disappointed and heartbroken, to tell you the truth. I feel like I let coach down, my teammates down, the fans down, Gator Nation down. Um, I knew I could have been a better leader. I could have performed better. If we get beat, that's one thing. Another teams can come out and they can play a great game. That happens. That's sports. If you lose because you didn't think you had the focus, the attitude, and the preparation you needed to, that weighs a whole different form of guilt on you. And I felt that. Not to take anything away from Ole Miss, because that team had a lot of NFL superstars on it, starting with Greg Hardy, who was chasing me all day. Like, they had a lot of really good players. But I felt like there was something inside of here and in here that didn't take place leading up to that week. And I remember after the game, coach was sitting in my locker and I was sitting on the ground leading against him. And we were just talking, and I didn't tell him this, but I just knew I wanted to say something. And more than say something, I wanted to apologize, because, Rob, I believe that when you do something wrong, you first say you're sorry and then say how you're going to make a change. And so a lot of people, they call it the promise, but it could just as easily be called the apology, because I started it out with, I'm sorry, I'm extremely sorry. Because when you do something wrong, it's important to say, I'm sorry. And that's how I started it, to the fans, to my teammates, to Coach Meyer, to everybody. And then I wanted from my heart to say what the change was and why there was going to be a change. And a lot of people say, oh, it's amazing. You promised you're going to a national championship. No, I didn't. I promised what I believe I could control, that we were going to be the hardest working team and I was going to be the hardest working player. And you were never going to see anyone work as hard as I was going to for the rest of the season. Like, that's something I could control. That's a choice that I could make, that as a team we could make. And I believe we were going to make that choice. And I remember walking out of there, and even honestly, some of the people in the room were sort of giggling or making fun. You could hear them talk. And I walk in and I get in the elevator, and I kind of have a hat on the back of this elevator, trying to kind of get away from everybody. And a few of the press come in. And I remember they don't know I'm in the back of the elevator because it's a packed elevator. And they start blabbing about this speech and saying, wow, no way he lives up to that one. Can you believe what he said? That's unbelievable. That's, and it's not in a good, they're not talking about me in flattery terms.
Coach, where were you when Tim was giving that speech?
I was in the locker room. I don't go in the media things, and I heard about it the next day, and really disappointed that, that he did that, because I seen the evolution of the media and social media, and it wasn't like when I first started coaching. I mean, it's vile. There's media members out there that their job is, the way they get paid is to destroy people. That's what they do. And I still see it. And I thought, my gosh, this is like my son. He just laid his heart out there. If we lose a game, if he stumbles, he throws an interception, you have these human beings that's their sole purpose, is to take people down. And I get real defensive. If it's my family, which Tim is my family, I'm like, wait a minute. But once I know it's Tim, and Tim's as honest human being as I've ever been around. And I'll tell you what, it did change. It took us a minute though. We played Arkansas the next week, and the first half was abysmal. And then we had Jeff Demps and Chris Rainey were freshman running backs. Tim was playing okay, but the team was very lethargic. It was a noon game in Fayetteville. I believe it was Fayetteville. And we just weren't playing well. And Tim, the energy guy, he's our leader. He was still feeling the weight of that loss the next week. And he drops back and he throws today one of his best passes, a bender to Percy Harvin for a touchdown. And I see him, and he's never not shown emotion. It looked like the weight of the world was on his shoulders. And I look at him, I start like trying to get him get going, get your butt fired up. Let's get the team going. And he gives me drives his shoulder pad right into my, face. And
he goes, you chipped my tooth.
I thought he chipped my tooth. I was like, you son of a gun, And from that point forward, I'm telling you, I don't know if there's been many teams, if any, better than that team the rest of the year.
So you were actually disappointed in hearing him making that speech. That stuns me.
Yeah, that was well. You understand it's like your children. Tim's he's not a football player. Tim's part of our family, and can you imagine if he didn't do what he said he's going to do? The way not media, I shouldn't say media in general. There's a handful of people. That's what they do.
Yep.
How do they get paid? They go wipe people out, and I knew that because I seen it. I witnessed it. I had players just get destroyed by media, and I don't understand that even to this day. So that's the only reason.
Download the all-new Fox Sports app now. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.